You the one that brought me up here to Sacramento to do this podcast. That's the whole reason I moved here to Sacramento. I'll go back to Bay Area, visit.
All right. Welcome back inside the Chamber of Truth with your co-host Leak and Josh. We back again with a lot to talk about today.
We got a lot to talk about.
So forgive us if we speeding through shit. We ain't gonna speed through it, but we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get straight to it. So of course, and we told y'all we would be back again to talk about this fight as it came down the pipeline.
The biggest fight in boxing.
And here it is.
In the last 25 years, in my opinion.
The biggest fight in years. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Bud Crawford. At 168 pounds.
For the undisputed super middleweight world title, WBC, WBA, IBF, and
Las
WBO.
Vegas, California, Allegiant Stadium. It's going down in September. September 13th is the date?
September 13th. We're going to be in the building, man. We're going to get our tickets. We're going to be in the building. We paying $2,000 to $4,000 for that ticket.
We're going to be in Vegas. I ain't going to promise we're going to be at the fight.
We're going to be in the fight.
I don't know what that ticket look like.
We're going to be in the building.
I don't know if I got that. We ain't got enough viewers yet to get them kind of checks. So I'll be in Vegas. But let's get to it, man. So the first press conferences happened over the past weekend at Fanatics Fest. Crawford and Canelo was a great turnout. It was a lot of energy.
Where was the first press conference at?
Was that wasn't the first one?
They had multiple press conferences. So the last one that they had where obviously Terrence Crawford, got in his face. That was in New York.
That was at Fanatics Fest. Yeah, I don't know where the original first one was, but
I'm curious to see.
So we just kicking it off, man. So the press conferences is here. We have another one coming up tomorrow or sometime this week. But so at this press conference over the past weekend, people have been talking a lot about how Canelo and Crawford have been a little bit friendly with it. Canelo...
They're not being friendly. They just appeasing Turkey al-Sheikh.
First, let me say this, because Crawford is a person who, he doesn't have to do the most of disrespect you to sell his fight. He did the same thing with Errol Spence. People said the same thing. Oh, Crawford is kind of just too reserved.
That's facts.
And respectful.
That's facts.
This is the sport of boxing. Why would you not respect your opponent? If you don't, you can disrespect your opponent and get your head knocked off. So respecting your opponent just shows that's a healthy level of fear and respect that you have that makes you train that much harder and make sure you're on your A game.
And what a lot of fans don't really realize is I understand it's a fight. You want people to be animated, but y'all got to realize that's not every fighter's personalities. You know what I mean? Every fighter's personality is completely different. Some have to be charged up. Some need that animosity in them. Some need that ghetto hood fab. You just need that. Some of them just like opera music. Some of them just like peace and quiet.
Mind you, we're 3 months away. When you have a long build up, it's hard to stay on 10 for the whole time. Why would you
waste energy?
Are you going to stay on 10 for the whole time, just putting your heart, increasing your heart rate and your anxiety, the whole time building up all this pressure on yourself to where now you have to get the knockout or the fans going to talk bad about you because of the way you acted in the lead up? No, you have to pace yourself. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely.
This is 3 months lead up to this fight. So I think the pacing is fine because just this past press conference, we did get a little bit of activity, a little bit of energy, a little bit of malice in the palace, if you will.
Yeah, Terrence had to step to him.
Terrence stepped to him. Some people think it was strategic. And this is where I want to get a good response from you out of. So I saw a little clip that said that they asked Bomac about Terrence Crawford pushing up on Canelo. And he said he may have, he may have advised Crawford to get up in Canelo's personal space to see what a push may feel like coming from Canelo. And you can see Crawford with intent antagonize Canelo to push him and get him up off him. Do you think there was strategy to that, and what did that accomplish for Crawford or Canelo?
I absolutely think that is strategy. And to be honest with you, I think it is a good strategy because first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, I am loving the build-up to all these fights. I don't know if you guys have seen it. They've dropped interviews with Shaq, with legends, with Shaq.
Yeah,
the GOAT podcast with Tom Brady, Shaq, and a bunch of other, big-time legendary athletes from different sports. They've done a bunch of interviews, with them sitting next to each other. They've done actually, this is really big for the sport of boxing, and I'm really appreciating it. We don't ever get this kind of a build-up for a fight that's 3 months out. That rarely ever happens. So that just only means it's going to continue. But with that being said, Do I think this was a strategic move? Absolutely, I do. Because if you look back at all the interviews that Canelo and Terence Crawford have been in, if you look back at every single time they've mentioned Crawford even having a smidgen of a chance to beat Canelo, Canelo laughs it off and plays it off like, no, never. I was watching interviews and they was asking Canelo, and like I said, if I were Canelo, you got to think that way. There is no way that man can come up 2 weight classes as you're an undisputed champion.
Where you've been reigning,
especially after beating Charlo. You can't allow a smaller man in a division smaller to come up and take your crown. That's just not feasible. So I understand Canelo and where he's coming from. But with that being said, Canelo's just been laughing this challenge off. Like, no, he can't beat me. No. The weight class is for a reason. I didn't hear Canelo say this 25 times. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. He's special. He's a good fighter. No, bro. You have to realize at some point Canelo's damn near disrespecting him in their interviews. People keep saying, but they're so respectful. No, the way Canelo's answering that question, he's sunning him. And at some point, you got to let him know, like, I don't care about your size. I don't care about your weight. I'm a dog, and I'm here. I'm not here to lay down. I'm not here to beat Charlo to take a shot and survive all 12 rounds. Yeah. I'm not here to survive.
Because like you said, most of these conversations, Canelo's been dismissive because
he's been very dismissive,
and most of it because of the size difference.
Absolutely,
which, it's something we could talk about because it is a real thing, and weight classes exist for a reason.
Absolutely,
Terence Crawford does have the height and reach advantage, which most people don't realize until you look at the numbers. He's got a half inch in height on him. He's 5'8". Canelo 5'7.5". Canelo got a 70.5 inch arm reach. Crawford have a 74-inch arm reach. So Crawford technically does have the height and reach advantage, but obviously Canelo is used to fighting at 168, has even gone up as high as 175. Crawford talking about he walks around right now at 155. So that's a major difference in the weight and the power that's going to be behind these punches.
Walk around.
So yeah, he said right now he's at 155.
He lying.
That's what he said. But so with that being said, I think too that there was definitely some strategy to Crawford pushing up on Canelo. You know, he intentionally walked down on him, was stepping on his toes, got to a point where he said Canelo's gonna have to extend his arm and push me away from him to get me off of him. And that might have been just a barometer, you know, to see how strong is this man. Let me get a gauge of what that push feel like. He just had to see, you know, it's a big weight difference.
It has to be done, y'all. It has to be done.
There's mind games in the sport of boxing. There's small little things you look for.
I've told everybody, boxing is 90% mental.
You look for any small advantage you can have,
Absolutely.
even if it's a mind trick for yourself. That he needed the confidence that, I felt this push. That wasn't nothing that I ain't felt before. He might have needed that for himself.
Now you talking.
You know, so this is the mental gymnastics of the sweet science.
You see what happens when you start getting back in the gym and practicing your skills over and over again. You get sharper and sharper.
I've been training. You think I've been
You
gone.
ain't been training.
He's
not been training, respectfully. You have been gone.
You think I ain't been focused on the sport of boxing, but here I am displaying the sweet science.
We'll see where you at next week.
So have you had a sway in your pick on this fight?
Hell no!
Vegas has the odds have come much and much closer.
They went from 5-1 to 2-1, ladies and gentlemen. This is a live ass fight. Now, with all that being said, I want to discuss: is it worth putting money on? Because if you put $500 on Terence Crawford, even on a money line, man. And here's my thing. This why what I want to discuss. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting a little off topic, but I'm getting excited.
Go ahead.
When was the last time Canelo's faced somebody with speed? When was the last time, I'm talking about like quick twitch athletic ability, quick twitch speed?
I'll tell you.
Amir Khan, in my opinion. The fighter that is most similar to
I would have
Crawford,
said Dimitri Bivol has speed.
Dimitri Bivol, Dimitri Bivol, I mean, every fighter at the elite level has speed, but Dimitri Vivol's speed isn't jump out at you. Dimitri Bivol has great distance management and timing, and has a great jab and a 1-2, and that's what he operates off of. And if you look at it, that's exactly what he used to beat Bivol, and that's exactly what he used damn near to beat Bivol in the first fight, in my opinion. But I think that's completely like you have somebody like with blistering speed. He ain't seen that since Erislandy Laura, or like think about it. That's why I go back to the Amir Khan. Amir Khan was up 6-1 damn near on Canelo, 5-1. The only problem is Amir Khan left himself wide open for a left hook, and that's all she wrote.
And that was long ago.
In my opinion, this is a very similar fight to that Amir Khan fight. Amir Khan moved up to 160 from 147. That's 2 weight classes. 154 to 168. That's 2 weight classes. But in my opinion, Terrence Crawford has, I feel like, all the damn speed and skills and quick twitch ability and the footwork that Amir Khan has.
And the IQ.
But let me get to that. Terrence Crawford's IQ is a lot better. Terrence Crawford ain't going to be getting hit by that left hook that Canelo set him up for. Terrence Crawford may switch to southpaw. And with all due respect, if I were if I were Terrence Crawford, I have to take a look at that William Skull fight. I don't give a fuck at that fight. Well, that fight was boring as hell. But if I'm Terrence Crawford, I see that fight as Canelo's kind of lazy when it comes to cutting the ring off. If I get tired, if I take a shot I don't like, let me just box around and move and stick and jab him for a minute or two until I get my legs back, or until I get clear-headed, or until I feel like I want to sit down and fight again. I really think Canelo's going to have problems, just like he did in the Amir Khan fight. But the thing is, Amir Khan didn't have as Malik mentioned, a high as an IQ.
Let me ask you this, because a lot of people think because of the weight difference, Crawford's not going to be able to take the power of Canelo's shots. Canelo hasn't stopped nobody in 4 years.
That is that is.
Is Canelo still hitting and cracking the same way he was when he was, let's call it, in his prime? Because I think he's maybe on his way out of his prime. He's towards the end of his prime. I'm not going to say he's past it, but he's towards the end of it. Do you think he's cracking still the same way he was?
I absolutely do think he's cracking. Now, but here's the thing. I don't think he puts his foot on the gas as much as he did when he was younger. That's the difference. Okay. He was more willing to fight when he was younger and kind of take that risk. But with all due respect, yeah, now that is something to take a look at. But at the same time, you really can't take a look at. He's knocked down a pure 168-pounder in Edgar Berlanga with a left hook.
Yeah.
He knocked down Munguia. He dropped Charlo. Dropped Munguia. Dropped Charlo.
Dropped Ryder.
And I know people want to say Munguia really is the biggest 168-pounder he's faced. Really, in my opinion, that was the biggest test he's faced. But he dropped Munguia. And from there, Munguia fought a little bit of a different fight. Munguia put up a hell of a fight. But Munguia is, just not. Canelo took that over. And that's the thing where I know people are saying he hasn't stopped anybody, but he's still hurting people and dropping them. When that happens, you can always make a fight. It don't even take you drop. That's why I said, for pure boxers, it don't take for them to drop or knock everybody out like you need to. All it takes for them to get hit hard is just really to get hit hard with something that'll stun you. You don't even have to be hurt. But now that you've been stunned by that right hand, now you're gonna start thinking about coming in that pocket a little bit more. And no, I'm not coming in there. He didn't stun me before. No, that's all it takes. You don't have to be a huge knockout puncher, ladies and gentlemen. That's why there have been the Paulie Malignaggi's of the world. 2-time world champion in 2 divisions with only 7 KOs. I don't know. People don't realize that's a hell of an accomplishment.
Which, Paulie, you crazy for getting into bare knuckle fighting at this point in your life.
What you mean? Paulie got paid for his first couple bare knuckle fights. He got paid fat. He got paid fat for them, and that's why he's coming back.
I guess so.
That's a 2-time world champion.
But let's get into the Crawford side of things, because we haven't talked about his approach and the things that he may be able to pull off in this fight. Coming up in 2 weight classes. He had one fight at 154, did not get the knockout, but did get the win. He says he's hunting Canelo, and it seems to me that he will want to get a stoppage in this fight. Is that possible?
Anything is possible in the sport of boxing, but in my opinion, Canelo can't. I mean, I know Turkey has a KO bonus on this fight. They're talking about making the ring shorter, blah, 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 blah. They're talking about, Canelo saying, please don't run like William Skull, basically.
Crawford said the only place he running is upside his head.
Absolutely. But even with that all being said, man, it don't matter. At the end of the day, when a pure boxer fights, My first job is not to get hurt, knocked out, stunned, or hurt in the first couple rounds, and we'll go from there. However we win is however we win. If the opportunity comes, we thank God and we take the opportunity. If we get blessed with a unanimous decision win by split decision, I don't give a damn. As long as we win. And that's what Terrence Crawford needs. He can't think about going there and knocking Canelo out. Canelo not going to do that. Canelo's very defensively responsible. He actually rolls with punches. He has a very defensively responsible with his hand placement. A very, very strong counter puncher. So it's going to take some hurts and hits to even get Canelo hurt. You know, you look at a guy like Bivol. Bivol had a complete arm reach advantage. Was tagging him with 1-2s, and even Bivol was careful.
He combination him to death.
He 1-2'd him. That's all he did. He didn't throw no hooks, nothing. Why? Because Canelo would counter the fuck out of that. He gave him 1-2s, and backed off and moved. And his weight and Bivol's weight and size really just made the difference because of that, and along with his boxing IQ. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is a hell of a fight, man. And like I said, I have Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Bud Crawford, unanimous decision. I'm going with my heart.
It's going down September 13th.
We're going to be in the building, y'all.
Boxing. Terrence Bud Crawford taking on Saul Canelo Alvarez for undisputed at super middleweight. All is on the line. The biggest fight in years.
Undisputed super middleweight championships of the world.
We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to be back here a couple times talking about it.
We're going to be in the building, man. Come holler at us.
We're going to be up there. So, yeah, we're going to keep talking about this one, but we're going to end this
Come
clip
to the
and come
B&B.
right back.